You talk a lot about purpose, why we are created as humans and why we're here. Like, what is the purpose of life? Why have we been given life?
I think we're here to struggle and to learn. I don't think we're here to be happy. That's why when we keep going back to the happy argument, I've always found that kind of frustrating and annoying. When someone goes, oh, but I want to be happy. Why? Why? Why do you want to sit there and laugh? Like you were happy your entire childhood. That's your happy days. You're allowed to be happy as a kid. It's all over now, right? You're a man. You have responsibilities. I think we're here to do important things, and important things are going to be difficult, and they're going to be hard, and you're going to get frustrated. But that's what gives you purpose. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to endure pain. I think we're here to just see how hard we are to kill. I think that going through terrible things and living through them and coming out the other side is one of the most fantastic things about being human. I think that it's almost like once you understand what life is really about, there's no emotion which isn't enjoyable. The only emotional state which can be seen as detrimental is feeling nothing at all. But if you're sitting at home and you're feeling truly heartbroken, at least you're feeling something, right? And I think that's the whole part of being human. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to go through pain. I wake up each day and go, what can I attack? What problem can I solve? And look at history. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and want to conquer the whole world? Why did Napoleon conquer the world? Why did Alexander the Great conquer the world? Just wake up and just say, give me this, give me that. I want all of it. Yeah. There's an army there. They're really big. We're better. It's intrinsic. You need to go and conquer. That's the purpose of life.
Do you believe that God created us? So why did God create us to struggle?
Because if you don't struggle, you don't learn. God created us to learn and understand ourselves and understand other people and understand the world. And what did I say earlier? I said that you don't learn a lesson without pain. So you have to struggle to learn anything. There's only two ways to learn things, the hard way or the harder way. If you're smart, you can learn the hard way. But in my experience, 99% of the planet only learn the hardest possible way. If you want to feel happy inside of yourself and you want to feel content and you want to feel stable inside of yourself, you need to live true to God. And I'm not saying you can't drink a little bit of alcohol or not party or not have a little bit of fun, but you have to be a good person. I don't believe in the societal paradigms in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood by the masses of the population. I think if you are anything less than absolutely distraught, you are happy. You're a version of happy. It's like saying gray is a version of black, right? No matter how light the gray is, you can still call it a version of black. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive and detrimental to your mindset, besides these events, which hopefully only happen a few times in your life, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy. And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, oh, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel. I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way. I don't care. I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. I'm human and that's life. So yeah, am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke? Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then that I am now. I have work to do and I will do it. It's as simple as that. Well, also, there's no light without dark, and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain. No matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends, and you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness. But as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as I get As long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks.
Anybody can be steady when there is no storm. The true skill set of a leader is to be steady in the storm, not hysterical, not anxious, but steady in the storm. You are closer to there than you have ever been before. But God is not big on details. He tells you, we're going to the other side. He does not tell you what's going to happen on the way. There are things that scare the living daylights out of you on the way. It's not the takeoff that you have to be concerned about, because most things take off good. Most business ventures take off good. Most little babies start out good. The takeoff is always great. It's the things that happen in the middle that challenge your ability to be steady. And there you are in a crisis, in a storm, and you're trying to get to the other side. Wherever there is, wherever God has predestined for me to go, I want you to notice that He determined the end from the beginning. He knew where He wanted you to go before He formed you in your mama's belly. He had predestined for you to go to a place, but in the process of getting there, storms arise. The one thing that we all have in common, black or white, rich or poor, short or tall, the one thing I can guarantee you that all of us will face, male or female, is a storm. There is nobody you're going to meet or fall in love with that will avoid the fact that storms are built into God's plan. You have to know that He equipped you with a fire extinguisher and an emergency exit and an automated system that even when you can't see Him, you can hear Him. And if you will follow His voice, you will get to the other side. The first thing we do when we get in the storm is to try to fix the storm. The storm is not yours to fix. You cannot fix the storm. And this drives you crazy, but it's particularly difficult for men because we are raised to fix stuff. And there are some women who feel that way too. You feel like you failed if you don't fix it. You lose self-esteem because you feel like it's your fault because you can't fix it. And I came to tell you, every storm that comes your way is not your job to fix. Storms don't always warn you that they're coming. Oh, once you get so high in the air, the pilot is going to pass out and you're going to almost lose your mind. Your husband is going to leave you for your girlfriend or your sister, your mama. No, nobody, you don't get to pick. And how do you sit down and tell your boys you lost your girl to a girl? Oh, you think that's funny? Yeah, you think that's funny, but that's happening. You don't get to pick the storm you face. You don't get to pick what life is going to hand you. And to all those control freaks, you have a special degree of trauma because the only time you feel safe is when you're in control. And I confess to you, I hate it. I don't want to be in something I can't control. And when you're in a storm, the big question in your mind is, do I have what it takes to stand against this storm? Can I make it through at my age? Can I make it through at my stage? Can I make it through after all the other stuff we've been through? And the worst time to have a storm is when you're already tired. That's why the enemy waits till you're tired. He waits till you're frustrated. And you feel like if one more thing hits me, I am going to lose it up in here. And that's when the storm comes. And it came to pass. And it came to pass. Every storm that ever hit the planet came. No matter how fierce, no matter how devastating, no matter how many homes were destroyed, they always come. And no matter how severe, no matter how terrible, no matter how many lives were lost, families were lost, it still comes to pass. How many times in your life have you gone through something you thought you wasn't going to make it? Where are my real people at this morning? I'm never going to make it out of this. This is too much. I can't handle it. I can't take it. And half of the stuff that broke my heart and almost drove me crazy, I can't even remember. It's in my rear view mirror. But in that moment when that storm hits, can I be steady in the storm? I've had some tough storms. And I learned that what I have to do is be steady in the storms. Can I talk to you this morning? Stop wishing for other people's stuff because you don't understand all the things they have to put into it to be ready to handle it. If your perspective doesn't change, you will misunderstand that God allowed the storm to give you an experience that nobody else ever got to have. You want an uncanny anointing? Go through an uncanny storm. You want an uncanny influence? Endure an uncanny storm. You don't get this by wishing for it. You get it after you've suffered a while. There are no shortcuts to the storm. Oh, do you hear what I'm talking to you about? And this is not a time to faint. And this is not a time to give up. And this is not a time to die.
No matter what happens to you, it ain't over. Ain't no such a thing as over. As long as God wakes you up, that means he ain't through with you yet.
Every painful time, it's developing something in you that can only be developed in the tough times.
When you get into a tight spot and everything goes against you, never give up then, for that is just the place and time that the tide will turn.
Now you have to receive this by faith and say, God, I believe what you promised, that a turnaround is coming.
Hang on. Winters don't last forever.
So if Mike Tyson walks in here and tells you he's going to teach you how to box and says you can't fight, you're a pussy, if that upsets you, then you can't learn, right? It's Mike Tyson. Just shut up and listen. Yeah. If someone, Richard and me, comes along and says, Andrew, you don't know shit, you're a dumbass and you're a brokey, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I am a brokey, Elon. Tell me something, right? I'll listen. But if you're going to sit there and go, don't call me names and not listen, you're never going to get anywhere, right? You don't become the master unless you're very, very good at being a student. And I've always been very, very good at knowing when to shut up. But I've got to a point in my life now where I don't have to shut up ever. So I don't.
I don't know how a man is waking up and he's happy without money.
Well, I think I've written books on money, done a lot of exploration. I actually think the rhetoric that money doesn't make you happy and life isn't all about money is part of the propaganda of what you call the matrix in indoctrinating us to concede and earn just enough so that we can pay our 50% taxes and pay our interest on all of our loans. And then when we die, pay 40% of everything that we own. Because if we know that money makes us really happy, we'll go and find it, which means becoming an entrepreneur and getting out of the system. And then that is freedom.
Oh, absolutely. So I think the smartest thing the rich people ever did was convince the broke people that money is. I think that's nail on the head. All the rich people like, don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Money doesn't make you happy, guys. I'm going to keep mine. But don't worry, it doesn't make you happy. I promise. I'm sad. Promise. You're sad? Yeah, we both are. Good luck. Biggest scam alive. Because money is freedom. It's freedom to drive what you want, eat where you want, go where you want. It's freedom to sleep with who you want. I just described it. If you want a beautiful woman, you need money. Like, money is freedom. If you don't want to be a slave, which is...
It's freedom to say no. Money is freedom to say no.
It's freedom to talk the truth online and be put in jail and come out and still have supercars.
My man has a Ferrari. Okay. I wish I had a Ferrari. Okay. They don't sit there and go for an hour. How did he get a Ferrari? It doesn't cross that part is the part they don't want to do, right? They just go, oh, he has a Ferrari. Wish I had a Ferrari. And they go back to TV.
Yeah.
And that's why they lose.
There's a lot of men who think what I think. They can't say it. They lose their jobs. So you want to say money doesn't buy happiness. Well, then you're saying you're happy to be a slave because only money is going to give you freedom. When they want to try and attack you, like they've attacked me, they take your money away on purpose. So absolutely, money's freedom to have an opinion now. So it's true. So yeah, exactly. So money absolutely is happiness because freedom is a bare minimum requisite to happiness. Unless you're happy being a slave. And you're right about what rich people did. They tried to convince all the people at the bottom that money isn't the answer. You're never going to be more happy poor. You may as well be rich. I can't think of many scenarios where being rich was a detriment over being poor. There's not many. Even if money can't help you, you may as well have it, right? So I completely agree with you. I think money is a bare minimum requirement for happiness, especially if you're a masculine man who wants to outcompete. Then you need money because money is basically everything. I think money is the most important thing in the world is health because you have nothing if you're dying. Second thing is family and friends who you love. And the third is money because it's everything else.
I think everybody knows that the system and the path they lay out for you is not a path that's going to lead to where you want to be. And I didn't know what the other path was, but that intrinsic distrust for the system and that distrust for the things they wanted me to do made me search for other avenues. And then I found them, right? And if you speak to the people who are richest, if you speak to the people you know, this is for everyone at home as well. If you speak to the people you know who have the most money and go up to them and say, hey, what made you rich? None of them say school. Do any of them say school made me rich? I got an A in GCSE. Like, who gives a shit? It's bullshit, right? So it's all indoctrination. So I knew it was indoctrination. And for that reason, I was always searching. If you're searching, you're going to find. When I was 15, my first job was carrying boxes of fish from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. And I would run to work. So I'd leave the house at 6. I'd run an hour. I'd get there at 7. I'd finish work at 5. And then I'd run from there to the fight gym. Get to the fight gym. I'd get there early before training started. I'd eat food next to the gym and then I'd train. And then I would get a ride home from my girlfriend at the time. So my entire life was 17 hours a day of just running and working and carrying boxes and fighting. And I can't be more thankful. You know, I don't want to be arrogant, but I'm going to. I really do believe I've had the perfect life. Now, I don't know if that's actually because I have the perfect life or if I framed it that way, but I am so thankful for everything. I am so glad I got to grow up poor because I wouldn't appreciate money if I didn't. And I'm so glad I got to spend my 20s, that decade where we were as powerful as possible fighting. And I'm so glad I've had difficult jobs and no money. And I'm so glad I couldn't pay my bills so that I appreciate now all the money I have. And I'm so glad I had the parents I had. And I'm so glad all these bad things happened to me, but enough good things happened. And I just really feel like it's been the perfect path. And I think back on that job. I think back on how my life was back then. And I realized that I wouldn't appreciate any of the things I have now without them. There's absolutely no light without dark. The best thing about being rich is talking about how you used to be poor. Otherwise, it's no point being rich at all. You're not going to enjoy any of it. You're going to end up addicted to drugs and doing crazy stuff, right? Yep. The reason I'm so happy, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I'm happy every day, I'm pretty emotionally balanced, is because I wake up in a big ass house and I realize that I don't have to worry about rent the next day and everything's fine. I see it that there is so much money everywhere and even I can't get it all. So I want as many people around me as possible to be rich because now I'm at least around more money. If I send a message inside of HU and said, I want to raise $100 million amongst my students themselves, I can do it. I've got my own venture capital firm now. I was like, boom. All right. 100 million. Let's buy a yacht. Here, dish it up. Bang, bang, bang. Done. Yeah. Because all of them are making money. I want to know as many people with money as possible. So if I know a way to teach people how to make money, and I'll also make money for teaching them how to make money, and I now have people who I can talk to so I have access to the money they make, why would I not teach them how to make money? Now, the reason no one else has really done this is because I don't think anyone else knows how to make money as well as I do. And also nobody else can really prepare and build a platform like we have or do the work it takes. HU is extremely difficult to launch. It's not easy to find 18 professors who know what they're talking about, build an online platform. Then you need the payment gateways. And then even when all that's done, then you got to find a way to get people to join. You got to advertise it. I don't have to advertise anything. So I'm top G. Everyone knows, but it's difficult, right? So we don't even have any competition. There's nowhere else on the internet you can go and spend $49 and sit for an entire month learning from 18 millionaires how to make money. There's nowhere else on the planet. Yeah. It's the only place. So we have no competition. So we're about to conquer the world. We're about to conquer the world, and that's a good thing.
But how does one free their mind without getting into Hustlers University?
Well, if they're watching this podcast, it's a good thing. It's a good start, right? Hustlers University is the answer for the people whose minds are already free. Once your mind is free, once you understand that your chance of making money with the traditional route they've laid out for you is zero. Going to school, going to college, going to university, getting in debt, getting a job with school debt, getting a mortgage with mortgage debt, getting a car with car debt, in debt to the banks, working at a job with the pay rise comes very sparsely, inflation's out of control, the property, you're never going to pay it off, you're never going to get rich, you're going to stay broke forever. Once your mind understands that the system and the path they've told you towards riches, which is get a good job, get good grades, get a mortgage, is a lie, then you need an alternative, which is Hustlers University. We'll teach you how to make money for $49. It costs less than lunch. We'll teach you how to make money and you can escape the matrix. But first, your mind needs to be free. You need to understand that the path they're giving you leads nowhere. Some people still believe in it.
Bro, they do because sorry, Mom, I'm going to actually say this. She's going to watch the podcast later. But, I told her not to take the vaccine. I did tell her that. She's saying, no, everybody's taking it. My brother in London, he's saying that, I can't fly out of the country if I don't take it. I said, Mom, you don't need to take it. Yeah. Why? You're absolutely healthy. Yeah. You haven't got the C, man. You haven't. Yeah. I didn't get it. Yeah. Nothing's going to happen to anybody. It's just fucking flu. Yeah. A couple of days later, we see that I think the CDC announced that it treated like a flu. Yeah. I was like, what just happened? And she sent that to me. I said, why are you sending it to me? It was me who actually was telling you not to do it.
And this is the thing. Some people are still stuck inside the matrix, especially the older generation. I feel like the younger generation have woken up to a lot of the lies. But another reason why is because, I mean, have this cough to answer that. The matrix didn't betray the older generation as much as it betrayed our generation. So the path to wealth we just laid out worked for them. You could go to school, get good grades, get a good job, get a mortgage, get a house, pay the house off. Inflation has made the house price go up. You've made a bunch of money. Yeah. So the matrix did good by you.
Definitely.
The system wasn't completely corrupted. What did we talk about earlier about the cyclical nature of systems? And when the new king comes in, he has good intentions at the beginning.
The changing world order, right? Ray Dalio explained it.
That's right. The king comes in with good intentions before he ends up lying and lying and lying. Everyone's intentions start good.
Correct.
So the matrix, when it was all set up in this mortgage system, was probably set up with a very good intention. And it worked for a lot of people. Now it's all a scam. But because it worked for your parents, they're like, oh, you should go to school and save up and buy a house. That's what I did. Well, you did it because the cost of a house was twice your yearly wage. And now it's 100 times my yearly wage. And it's not even the same game we're playing. That's like saying you should just jump over him because I played checkers, but we're playing chess. They're different games. So the older generation still have some belief in the matrix because they haven't been deceived. They haven't been tricked as badly as the younger generation have. This is why they believe in it. And that's why your parents will tell you the path to wealth that they followed because it worked, but it doesn't work anymore. Now we're living in a society where you have basically two choices. The path to wealth that they've laid out to you is a lie and a scam, and it's never going to work. You're never going to get rich that way, and you know it. Working hard in some corporate job is never going to make you rich ever. I think a lot of people build their mindsets around trying to feel good. So that's why we were talking earlier about people who want to ignore the idea of personal responsibility or self-accountability because they feel better if they pretend it's not a real thing. They feel better if they pretend everything's someone else's fault. A lot of people's mental model and how they view the world is based around them feeling as good as possible. So when you sit there and talk to somebody who has the mask on and they refuse to believe the elites are laughing at them, it's not because they can't comprehend the ideas. It's because they feel better if they don't believe that they are a clown to the elites. I feel better if this is really all innocent and it's really all about a disease. So people are they're basing their mindsets around trying to feel good. I have always tried to base my mindset around absolute competence regardless of how I feel. And There are certainly disadvantages to that. There are times you're going to be a lot more pessimistic, or you're going to be a lot more stressed, or a lot more, pissed off about certain things than others. Yeah, that can be seen as a downside. But like I said, I use all of those things for unlimited motivation to propel my endless upward trajectory. But if you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe you can affect absolutely everything about your life. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. You're as competent as possible if you believe the bad things that happen to you are going to allow you to work harder and become even better. When bad things happen to me, the first thing out of my mouth is good. Good. Andrew, they took $10 million out the bank because they canceled you. Good. Good. That's just my response. Good. Andrew, this happened. Good. Good. Now I'm really pissed. Good. This mindset I've constructed allows me to be as fearsome a competitor as possible. It allows me to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and that's the point of a mindset. Why would you have a mental model or a mentality that made you anything less? In the ultra competitive world that we've just discussing that everybody wants the things you have, why would you absorb information or construct a mental model that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as possible? I am a feared competitor in anything I do. Anyone who's up against me at anything is going to feel a degree of nervousness just because it's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If you say, look, you're going to go learn how to play piano, and you're going to play against someone else who's never played piano, and you're going to learn, and that guy's Andrew Tate, you're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake. I can't even play piano. But part of them is going to be like, oh, not Tate. Even though I have no piano experience, because they just know me. They know my mindset. They know my determination. They know I'm stubborn. They know I don't quit. They know I'm going to win. That's just who I am. So I've constructed a mental model that allows me to be competent and to always succeed. And that's how I've come to the conclusions I've come to. And I truly, once again, don't understand how people go through the world with any other mental model. I get asked all the time, but what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even... How I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. I didn't cross my mind if I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions, because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that affects... I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day when I'm particularly happy. And I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive. It's why I say depression isn't real. I've argued this point endlessly. And I try and explain to people, but they're not smart enough to understand that I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. I am more competitive as an individual if I don't believe I can become depressed. So I don't give a fuck if I'm right or wrong, because no matter what bad happens to me in my life, even if, heaven forbid, the worst things on earth that could happen to me, I could never become clinically depressed, because I would never self-diagnose myself as clinically depressed, because I don't believe in it. I believe that I am currently sad, but I have work to do, and eventually I will feel better. I will never get to a point of absolute desperation and kill myself, because I'm never going to get to a point of hopelessness, because I don't believe in the idea of hopelessness. You cannot try and make me adopt thinking that will reduce my competitiveness as an individual. So I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong. I don't believe in it. That's it. End of story. So I don't believe in things that take power away from me. I don't believe in things that make me less competitive, and I don't adopt mental models that make me less competitive. Every single mental model I have are the most efficient ones I could find. To the mental model I found that if I adopt, I become a more fearsome predator. That's it. So this is how I've come to all of my conclusions as an individual.
My only weapon against all of these people and all this garbage is to smile. There are people sitting in a dark room right now There are people in a room right now, as we speak, full-grown adults, professionals, trying to put me in jail. There are teams. There's a prosecutor and his underlings sitting there, analyzing my entire life, every message I've ever sent, everywhere I've ever been, and what I've ever spoken to, ever. As we speak, trying to put me back in a dungeon. At the same time, there are people sitting around trying to cancel me, get me off the internet, make sure I have no influence, no work. They're sitting there. They've frozen all my bank accounts, have taken almost 20% of my car collection. Almost. They've put me in jail, and they've done all this to me, and they're sitting there trying to attack me, and I smile. That's my weapon. That's my weapon. They go to jail. I don't care. And that resilience is how I fight against them, because I believe this is a spiritual war more than anything else. The reason they're trying to attack me is because I'm seen as a hero to so many young boys, and that inspires bravery in the young boys. So they're trying to kill the hero. So I can't allow them to make me sad or miserable or depressed. I refuse. I refuse. I will smile in my jail cell. I refuse to be afraid or scared or depressed. Happiness wins. Love wins. I'm happy. Shoot me. I'll smile. If they were to come and put a gun in my face and say, time's up, I'd say, I knew you were gonna bang. That's the weapon. What else am I supposed to do?
Are you still having nightmares?
My nightmares are gone, and you know what? I'm gonna be very open about this. I'm genuinely sad about that.
Sad about what?
My nightmares leaving me.
Right.
Because it was a new level to the game of life, I guess.
New experience.
It was interesting. It was kind of fun, you know, like before I go to sleep. In jail, I had that. There's my room. I'm glad I went to jail in the winter. I guess it'd be a lot worse in the summer, but there was a really bad infestation of cockroaches, and they were always in the blankets. And when you slept, you got warm, so they'd all the insects and bed bugs, everything would try and attract you. So you'd wrap up and put your trousers in your socks, and I had like a pillowcase I'd put over my head to stop them getting in my mouth. And like there's insects everywhere. Yeah, it's like on this and everything. They're all over the ceiling. And for a while before I go to bed at home, I'm kind of like looking in my covers for insects and stuff. And I catch myself doing it, going, this is unique. You know, before I go to bed, I'd check all my stuff, and then I get in bed and I'm not relaxed, and I think there might be something crawling on me, and then I go to sleep and I wake up in a panic. But the whole thing to me was almost I was almost observing it in the third person. I was almost like, oh, cool. This is something I've never done before, and I got a lot of training done.
Andrew, question for you, bro. So you mentioned traditional women.
Yeah.
Where do you find them nowadays? Where do you find these women, bro?
Firstly, you find a traditional woman because you have to make a traditional woman. You can't find a woman. You have to make a woman. You have to teach her and guide her. She has to learn from you. She has to grow from you. So you need to find a woman early enough in her career path of running around dating men before her to do anything detrimental to her psyche where she cannot absorb the lessons which you want to preach upon her. A good woman makes her man feel braver. She inspires him. She makes him want to work hard. Good women are extremely powerful forces of nature, as are good men. And I think the first thing you need to do is be the best version of yourself. And if enough people do that, then society will be fixed. But the truth is, as a man, if you have a good woman can be the best thing about your life and your greatest source of strength. And if you have a woman can make or break a man's life. Same job, same house, same car, same dog, same sofa, same bed. Different reality.
Yeah.
Bro, different reality. And even worse, you'll notice this the most when you have a girl who flips, who was cool, and now she ain't. And you're like, everything was good. Now you're upset. What? Over what? And you'll see. But a woman can make or break a man's life. To answer the question we asked earlier, if you're at home and it's Valentine's Day and you're sad, etc., good. You're lucky and you're blessed, and you need that mental reframe. And it's amazing how powerful a mental reframe can be. I think a lot of people even underestimate that the exact same scenario with a complete different reframe of it can change the outcome and all the lessons you learn from it. When bad things happen to me, my first answer is good. I've trained myself. This has happened. Good. It's supposed to happen. Good. And that's the ultimate reframe. Because if you're going to sit there and go, oh, why me? You got to do it yourself. You need all these bad things to happen to you, and you have to use them as fuel. I think all the bad things that happen to you in your life are extremely important. I think pain is one of the most important elements of the alchemy that's required to become the most fantastic version of yourself. If you look at any superhero movie, the superhero had pain. Batman's Batman because they killed his parents. If they didn't kill his parents, he simply wouldn't be Batman. And I think a lot of men, when bad things happen to them or heartbreak, etc., they don't understand that all that pain that's been given to you in that scenario is extremely important and valuable. Probably the worst experience as a man is to go through life and everything go right all of the time. Actually imagine that. You're born, you wake up, everything's fine. Your girl ain't going to leave and you don't have to go gym and no one's going to try and fight you and your bills are always paid. That sounds depressing to me. Genuinely. All these bad things are supposed to happen to you so you can level up. You're supposed to go through the pain so you can get better. It's a universal law it's a constant of the universe. Even if you want to build bigger muscles, you have to destroy the old ones. That's how they grow bigger, right? You want to be more resilient. You want to be more observant. You want to be more capable of dealing with negative scenarios or heartbreak or bad things happening to you. Well, then you better get used to pain. Pain is the flavor of life. And the people who try and change the flavor are never going to be as competitive as the people who eat it up and go, okay, that's what it tastes like. Fine by me. Give me some more. And those are the ones who get very good at it. So if you're sitting here at home and you're sad, fantastic. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm genuinely a little bit jealous. Bad things are supposed to happen to you, but you have to use them as fuel. You can't sit there and let the bad things happen to you and feel sorry for yourself. You got to take all that pain and turn it into something good. That's your responsibility as an adult. Yeah, I think men have a natural, innate masculine instinct to protect and to provide. Yep. If you're a man who has this stuff in order, you naturally want to protect those you care about. And you naturally want to provide for them. You have no problem paying their bills and taking care of them. A good man has no problem paying the bills for his woman and paying the bills for his kids and making sure they're safe. That's what a man wants to do when he has his things in order. If you're the kind of man who doesn't feel that way innately, there's something wrong with you. And there's probably
50-50 is unacceptable, guys.
Yeah, and there's probably something wrong with you because you're not being the best version of yourself. And it's amazing how easily you'll do the things you're supposed to do when you're the man you're supposed to be. And if you focus on making sure you're as strong and rich and smart and hardworking and intelligent as possible, and if you're careful with the company you keep, both male and female, and you have friends, like that's what's so important about masculine networks. So if you're the good person around the right people, you're going to end up affecting everyone around you. You can't go through the world without leaving a ripple effect. And that's why you have to be your best version of yourself. And that ripple effect is going to be vast and it's going to be continuous into space time. And you don't know how the butterfly effect works. You don't know about you being a nice, courteous person, holding that door open that one time, how that can affect someone's life in such a positive way, or smiling at someone when they do something nice to you, or helping someone who needs help. You can be a genuinely good person, but to do that, you need to be a man of capability. And you need to understand that the whole world can be fixed if men and people get their act in order. And I truly believe that all of this falls on men. But I actually believe that men are meant to lead, and women in general, as a general rule, when they find a man they respect, they follow him. And I know that because if you meet a good woman and she loves you, all of a sudden she likes the music you like. Yep. She likes the cars you like. She believes the politics you believe. She watches the shows you watch. So if we have such a problem with women,
she plays the games you play.
All of it. So we have such a problem in the world today. That's down to a huge lack of masculine role models and a huge lack of men doing their job. Because as much as we laugh and clown on women, etc., if you're a man who has his stuff in order, you're going to find a woman who's loyal to you. And they do exist. It's all about taking accountability as a person, blaming yourself for absolutely everything so that you have power over the situation, because you have no power if you blame the world. If you blame women for everything, you have no control. Yeah. If you blame yourself, you have control over the situation. And I think that if men get their act together, you'll be surprised how that will expand out towards society and how not only your life gets better, but the life of everyone you care about, everyone you meet, everyone you interact with, their lives get better by extension. And that's what we need to fix society. I think that the universe or God or whoever you want to call it, I think they know what they're doing. You're going to get exactly what you deserve in this life. And if you don't have the things you want, quite often you don't actually deserve them. And if you start acting in a way where you do deserve them, you'll be surprised how quickly and easily they appear. You'll see. And a lot of you are sloppy and lazy, and you don't care to look back and realize where you've been sloppy or lazy, or realize where you've made mistakes. And then you're not understanding why your life is constant blunders and bluffs. Well, that's because you keep making mistakes. But if we look at it in a more universal and as a more meta point, I love that the world is hyper competitive. And when you're extremely successful, you do. I love the fact that women only want to date men with lots of money because I have lots of money. And I love the fact that women want to date men with good bodies who are strong because I'm strong. It's fantastic. I would actually be devastated if women change their minds, because I like it being that competitive, because I like to win, and I have no problem with the competition. I have no problem with war. If you're going to sit and go, women shouldn't think this way, what you're actually doing, and you may not realize you're doing this, but you're speaking to the universe and saying, I can't win, so I want to change the rules of the game.
Good
and
point.
I think you should apply a completely different mindset. If women sit there and say, I want this, and this, I am never offended by that, because I sit there and go, yep. Okay. All right. Text me then.
I'm winning.
So I'm winning. So I think you should look at these things as a man. How can you, as a man, take absolute self-accountability?
Yep.
You can blame her, you can blame women, we can blame society, all those things. That's true. But the best thing you can do is sit there and go, well, let me make sure I don't fall into any category where I can be disqualified.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about any of these things. And the best thing about being a man, in fact, the only good thing about being a man, because being a man is much harder than being a woman. You're born with no value. You don't matter. Your life is hard. The only good thing about being a man is that it's a harder version of the game of life. It's a more difficult version of consciousness. And if you play a harder video game, you get a higher score. If you're a top tier male, it's the best possible experience. There are dudes out there who are jealous of chicks because chicks get attention, because they're like, those girls get to go here, these girls get to go there. But if you were at our level and getting to do it as a man, not as a chick, as a man,
It's better.
It's much better. It's always going to be better.
Yeah.
So we have the best possible chance to live the best possible life. All you have to do is be man enough to get your stuff in order. And this is something that's really true about the world. And I say this all the time. People often say it's okay to fail if you try your best. But I will argue, if you try your best, you will never fail. If you try your best, you will not actually fail. If you get up every day and do what you're supposed to do. I've never seen a person get up every day, eat right, hit the gym twice a day, every day, eat properly, sleep as much as they're supposed to, their supplements are in order, doing their absolute best, who was not in good shape. I've never seen it. It's literally physically impossible.
Yeah.
So you either want it or you don't. And it's the same with absolutely everything else. A lot of people go, I've been trying. If you were really trying for the amount of time you've said you've been trying, you wouldn't still be in the position you're in. And that's the truth. When you're truly trying your best, people often ask me, they say, well, if women love money, why are they with these guys or these broke guys, or why are they with this guy who's trying to come up? I think if you're actually really trying your best in your life and you're doing your very best to build a life, even if you don't have it yet, I think people can smell it. Not just women. Men.
Ambition.
People can smell the they can see their life's in order. They're good. Something's right. You can call it magic. You can call it
Potential is
energy.
loud.
You can call it something.
Potential is very loud.
And it's kind of amazing that guys will sit and go, what do I do about this girl? How do I get this girl? And they'll send super chats. How do I get this girl? How do I get that girl? If you actually just do the things you know you're supposed to be doing and get your life in order, you'd be amazed how quickly it all falls together. It's like everything else. In chess, good moves come from good positions. Boxing, you land the good punch because you're standing in the right place at the right time. You do the right things. The rest of it's actually pretty easy. And as bad as this world is, and as difficult as women are, and feminism and all these things, I promise you, if you're acting the way a man should act, with honor, integrity, you're hardworking, you're perspicacious, and you have perseverance, and you do all the things you're supposed to do, you're going to find a loyal woman who adores you. You're going to find it. You can be in the worst. You can be in Miami, Ratchet City, but you'll find a girl who's obsessed with you if you're doing all the things you're supposed to do. Even if you're not a millionaire yet, but if you're doing the things you're supposed to do. It's kind of beautiful how God will give that to you if you finally get your act together. If you're working hard, training hard, showing you're brave, showing that you're not afraid. This is some of the things that I think people don't understand as well. We talk about emotionality in men and how women find it unattractive. And I actually agree by and large, if you cry in front of your chick, to a degree, she'll lose respect for you. But it depends why, and there's always nuance and scenarios where that changes. If you're crying out of frustration or crying like a girl because you can't fix something, then I think she'll lose a lot of respect for you. But if you're sitting there furious with tears running down your face because you're about to go kill the man who hurt her, she ain't going to lose respect for you. That's different. So again, even a lot of the other arguments, a lot of the things we talk about emotionality in men or all these things or crying, etc. It ties back to the basic premise. I'll tell you now, I would argue with all my money and all my status and all of my physical attributes and how handsome I am, and all, if a woman felt like she wasn't safe with me, like I would allow something to happen to her and I wouldn't do anything about it, she'd leave. Sooner or later, she'd leave. And she might leave me for the thug who would kill a dude who looked at her wrong. And maybe he's too far the other way. But they crave that safety. There's no light without dark. And if you want a woman to truly respect you, she needs to rely on you for everything. But you better not fail her. And you have a huge responsibility as a man. You got massive responsibility. You can't be the guy who says, I don't know. Bro, when she comes to you and says, this is broken, and you go, I don't know. She's going to look at you like, what? Who are you? Even if you don't know, you got to find someone who does know and pay the price and get it fixed. That's your job as a man. Or, and you just start saying, oh, I'll just tell her I love her all the time. Everyone on Instagram tells her they love her. And eventually she'll check one of their profiles and he's got a nicer car than you and he's better looking than you. And it's just a slow ticking time bomb. And we can apply this to relationships and everything else. You don't own anything. Everything is rented. You have a nice business, you stop working on it, you go broke. You have a nice body, you stop training, you lose it. You have love, you stop working on it, you lose that too. Everything is rented. And I'll tell you the number one thing in the world that's rented that most people don't realize is that is your woman's respect for you. You can't start slipping because you start slipping and the trap is they make you slip.
Yes.
Just eat this food. The superpower is to never be slipping. I'll even tell you now, this is a personal story. It's a personal experience, but women have said to me, you always live with your boys. Why are you always with your boys? I'd like to live with you. But they never leave me because living with my boys is what keeps me sharp. That's why I am the man they're in love with in the first place. If I live with just them, you're never going to be the same as when you're with the predators. You're never going to train as hard. You're never going to keep your head on a swivel the same. You've got to have that. You've got to have that warrior instinct. So when we talk about a woman's respect being rented for you, that comes down to so many tiny things. It comes down to the fact that your phone is charged and your gas tank is full and you're organized. Bro, some of my best conversations are me sitting with my girl and talking about what we would do when World War III comes. What we're going to do what we would do if someone tried to break into our house. Well, they can't, baby, because I put a gate there and I've got armed guards. I've got bulletproof doors. Look, here's a Glock. I got this here. I didn't know that gun was there. Of course I do, baby. I got everything. Like, they love hearing that. They don't love it. They love hearing that more than anything.
Stay ready.
Stay ready. Because that's what they expect from you as a man. That, I'll tell you, nothing will turn a chick on more than you telling her how you'll fight the entire world to save her. But they also expect it of you. And it doesn't matter how liberal the relationship. Doesn't matter how feminist the girl and guy. If they're walking down the street and a man comes up to attack them, she's going to expect her man to do something.
Damn right.
She's going to expect him to do something. I think one of the few things left you can offer as a man that social media cannot yet replace us for is security and safety. I think it is your primary objective to make a woman feel safe. And I think if you can do that, she will feel something intrinsic that is aligned with her biology that she can't get from social media. And if you do it well and you're good at your job, in fact, her being famous on social media and having so much attention ties into her needing safety even more. And I think that security and safety can be physical, it can be financial, it can be in a lot of different ways. But if you say to a woman, look, you can get a bunch of attention on Instagram, sure. You can make some money on Instagram, sure. A bunch of men are going to message you on Instagram, sure. But I'm the only one who's going to make sure nothing bad happens to you. I'm the only one who's going to make sure you don't make mistakes. I'm the only one who's going to make sure that you are taken care of. And if there's a problem, you can call me no matter what. And that requires a degree of competence and capability. But I feel like, and I'm just talking from personal experience, if you can't make a woman feel safe nowadays in lots of different regards, both physical and financial, and even intellectually safe, if you're competent and a woman comes to you with her problem, it takes you less than a fraction of a second to tell her what to do. Yeah. If you can make her feel safe, you can compete with the machine mind. But if you can't give her that safety feeling anymore, if you're Joe Schmo and you can't do it, or if you don't feel like, or if she doesn't look at you as a man who she can come to for guidance or advice, if you can't give her safety, I don't think you can compete with Instagram. I think you're going to lose, no matter how much money you have or how much attention you give her. You can't give her more attention than the world will give her on Insta. You can't. Safety's all we have left, which ties into why it's so important you need to be a masculine man in the first place. She needs to look at you. My girl says to me all the time, you're my hero. You're like a hero. You're like a superhero. You're like the heroes. I know nobody can touch me if because you stop them. Like, you have to give that feeling of safety now. You do. Otherwise, I don't think you could compete. So then you have to sit down as a man and go, okay, I have this woman. I really love her. She has this Instagram page. She's getting money, attention, validation, all these things from there. I want to make her feel safe. How do I do that without coming across like a controlling weirdo? Well, she needs to truly respect me and allow me to have enough guidance and enough control over her life for her to feel as safer as a person, for her to respect me as a man and respect my competence. But I feel like striving to give your woman safety is now more important than ever. Safety is one of the last true emotional biological triggers that women have left. Truthfully, if you care about your woman, you should be doing this anyway. If you live in Phoenix, Arizona, and you see girls who get murdered in Phoenix, Arizona, you need to send that news article to your chick. Yes. That's not dark side at all. That's not being manipulative. That's saying, look, everyone thinks it won't happen to them till it happens. It happens. Look at this. Here's how, and then ask her as an adult. You're an adult. How do you think, look at the scenario, read the article. Why did this happen to her? Well, first it was 9:30 at night. Secondly, she was by herself. Thirdly, she was riding a bike. Like, how do we make sure this never happens to you? Do you understand that I wouldn't be able to continue with my life and be the same person if I lost you? How do I make sure this never happens to you? My number one goal is not to stop you having fun and not to stop you living your life, but I feel like as a man, I need to protect you. Here's this, that. Once you show your intention is truly for her safety, she's going to be far more likely. She'll have a much higher propensity to listen to what you say, because that's the last thing left you can offer as a man. Now, if you're lazy, really good point. If you're lazy, if you don't train, if you don't know how to fix the fridge, if you come across as incompetent, if you're sloppy, if you're slow, then she's not going to believe you when you try these things, because she can say, well, what would you do anyway? I have genuinely never been, or every single girl who knows me, whenever they watch the movie, and this is, I swear to God, when they watch Taken, they message me. They say, you'd do that, wouldn't you? So of course, top G. They believe Liam Neeson my way, because I'm that guy. Yeah. I'm that guy in their mind. I mean, you got to be that guy. I've had my girl say to me, can I go here? And I say, no, I don't trust those people, or it's dark, or I'm not around, or I don't really want you to go there. And she'll say, I'm so glad you said no. And I'll say, what do you mean? She goes, I don't know. I'm just glad you said no. I feel safer. I feel happier that you won't even let me go.
Yeah.
You can't get your girl to listen. If I tell her not to go, she's more happy I won't let her. And that's kind of where, I guess also, if we go further down the rabbit hole, you can also apply this to other things. If you say to a girl, don't go to the club, why? You're right. But the reason you're telling her reeks to a degree of insecurity. Now, you're right, and you can do it the right way. But if you were to say, I don't think you should be going out, bad things happen, I care about you, and I want to make sure you're okay, I'll take you out, but I don't think you should be going out. And she's like, I really want to go, You're like, all right, cool. I'm trying to protect you here. I'm your man, and I believe it's my job to keep you safe in all realms. If you want to disobey my orders, well, then how can I be responsible for making sure you're safe? But now you're not speaking from a position of insecurity. You're speaking from a position of authority and respect and capability and competence, which is a different thing. And I don't think many men even do that. I'll say to my women, be home before dark. They can be 28 years old. And I'll be like, well, it's dark at 6. Yep, I want you home before dark. Bad things happen in the world. I want you home because I love you. I think a man should have absolutely no interest in whether he's actually happy or not. If I wake up and I'm unhappy, I will do the exact same things as if I am happy. I will go to the gym the same. I will work the same. How I feel has no impact on how I live my life. I don't think happiness as an index is a healthy view for a man to have on life success. I think a man's role on this planet is also another thing that we need to redefine to some degree, right? I think a man's role on this planet has changed, but from the dawn of human time, a man's role has always been the capability for violence. This is what men were, right? When I look at the world, I look at it from a societal perspective, and I look at it from an animalistic perspective. Society has told us to be certain ways, and then our animal instinct tells us to be another way. So society tells you to marry one woman and be loyal, right? And then you have me saying, men are not supposed to do that. We don't want to do that. Any man who sits there and says, I want to do that, is lying. He wants to keep the woman he loves, and he wants the woman he loves to be happy, of course. But if he could keep the woman he loves and keep her happy and have other women, he would. What? You're lying if you say that's not true, right? So from an animal perspective, a man's primary role was the capability for violence. We went to war, we conquered stuff, we built stuff, we conquered. That's what men did, we conquered. To this day, still now, if you look at men, many of them are still trying to conquer the world one way or another. Some men are born with something else inside of them, with a fire inside of them, which cannot be extinguished by beans on toast, TV at night, 9 to 5, sitting around with your wife. I know me as an individual, I could not be satisfied with that. That doesn't mean I look down on the people who are. Absolutely, congratulations. But my time on the planet, I guarantee, will be more eventful. I will die with more stories. I would have made a bigger ripple in space-time, because I refuse to comply with just the average, this is okay, you'll be happy with this, take it. There's always been that class of person. Even since the dawn of time, there's been the normal guy, and then there's been the dude who insists on conquering the world. There's been Napoleon who says, no, fuck you, I'm taking this and this and this. It depends what you're born with, right? I think one of the biggest mistakes a man can make is to judge his life. Let me reword this. I think a man should have absolutely no interest in whether he's actually happy or not. If I wake up and I'm unhappy, I will do the exact same things as if I am happy. I will go to the gym the same. I will work the same. How I feel has no impact on how I live my life. I don't think happiness as an index is a healthy view for a man to have on life success. But I think for a man, if you're waking up and going, oh, am I happy? Am I not? You're looking at life wrong. I think of a man, if you put happiness if you move it down the scale, right? And you start looking at, am I successful? Am I competent? You know, am I achieving things? Am I respected? If you start to look at these indicators of your life, you're going to end up being happier without actually analyzing if you're happy or not. So for me, I understood very, very well that $500,000 a month is good, but $1 million a month is better. And I also very, very much understood that as soon as you stop pushing forward, as soon as you go stagnant, you're dying, right? As soon as you stay in one place, you're slowly on the way down, right? If your podcast, if your channel now were to stagnate in views, you'd be worried. That's effectively dying. It has to grow at all times. So every business has to work. So for me, I was under enormous pressure. I didn't think, I have plenty of money now. It was the complete opposite. I wanted to work harder, more hours. I found the tap. Bro, if there was a golden tap that unlimited money, and you had buckets, and you took one bucket of money, would you just take that bucket, or would you run back and get another bucket and run back and run? I couldn't stop. I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up to go piss at 3 a.m, take a piss, and by the time I finished pissing, I'd be like, I've slept 3 hours, that's enough. And wake the chicks up and put them back online. I couldn't get out of my brain because I saw that I'd replaced fighting, which I loved, with this. And this was my chance to escape the Matrix. Bro, this has been inside of me since as early as I can remember. I remember walking to sixth form college. I was 16 or 17 with my 4 friends, and a Ferrari burnt past us. And I said to my boys, I was like, man, how'd that guy get that car? And they're like, don't know. I was like, doesn't that annoy you? I'm like, why would it annoy me? Because we're going to school. Our parents are on council estates. Like, we're trying to scrape 20 pounds a week to eat. This dude has 400 grand for a car. Doesn't that aggravate you? Doesn't that show you that there's something about the world you do not understand? That you're missing something? And they're all like, not really. And they're all the dudes who are right now at home, 9 to 5, couple blowjobs, da-da-da. I was never that guy. I was pissed off for weeks because I saw some dude in his Ferrari. Do you understand? I was like, no, I have to. So now when I push my Ferrari, I'm like, this is the full circle. This is the universe giving me what I've always been manifesting. Does that make sense? Yeah. So now when people say, Andrew, why do you have 17 supercars? Because I have 17. I have every brand you can fucking name. I have 17 cars. I have over $10 million of cars. But because it was a car, these cars used to piss me off. So now I have to have them all. I don't even drive them. I have to have them. I'm trying to conquer the earth, my friend. Maybe I'm crazy, but this is what I'm trying to do. It's what I've always been trying to do. So I've never been satisfied. To this day, I'm making more money now than I was making in my cam days. I'm still not happy. But I don't judge my life on happiness. I don't look at it that way. I look at all the other human metrics and say, where am I failing? Am I in good shape? Yeah. Am I rich? Yeah. Do I have good friends, good connections? Yeah. Do I do whatever I want? Am I free? Tick, 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 tick. Well, fuck it then. Then life's fine. You know? I'm happy every day, right? Let's say happiness is a scale. If you're not distraught, then you're happy. And I mean that like 3 or 4 times in your life, like a family member is going to die, or something really bad's going to happen, and you're going to be devastated. And when you're distraught, you can't even talk. Like, you know when you're genuinely heartbroken, you can't even speak. You can't even talk. You just want to be left alone, and you can't talk. Those days are coming for all of us. Either we're going to die, or someone we love's going to die. Those days are coming. This is guaranteed. So, until those days come, I'm happy. I'm very binary. Yes or no, 1 or 0. Unless I'm distraught, I'm happy. Now, happiness can be a sliding scale, right? I can be less happy some days than others, but I'm still happy because I'm not distraught. There's a really interesting show I watched a long time ago, and it was a documentary about colors. And it was saying they found this tribe in Africa, and in the tribe in Africa, they had different names for the colors than we have. And they got 2 different shades of blue, which were basically identical. Like blue, one kind of blue, another kind of blue, basically identical. And to them, they were completely different colors. But then they put like blue and yellow, and they couldn't tell the difference. They couldn't tell the difference because the blue and the yellow had one name, and these 2 kinds of blues had a different name. What they were trying to say is, if your brain is associated a name with something, it's very hard to work out the difference between the two things that have the same name. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm never unhappy. I'm happy always. Do you understand what I mean? If I'm not distraught, I'm happy. So I never wake up and go, oh, I'm unhappy today. I wake up and go, oh, I'm a little bit less happy today, but I'm happy. I've labeled myself as happy. I've labeled myself as lucky. I'm labeled these things, and I truly believe them. I will pass any lie detector test today that I'm the most content, happy man in the world, because that's what I've decided. That's what I've labeled myself as. I talk to people all the time like, oh, I'm unhappy, I'm depressed, and I'm like, stop saying it. You're saying it.
You gotta speak.
Yeah. Why are you saying it? You're happy, my friend, because you're talking. If you're truly unhappy, you don't talk. Think of the last time you lost a family member. The first thing you did is you sat in silence for half an hour. First, you get a phone call and you just sit there. And someone goes, what's happened? And you might give them a few words. That's unhappy. If you're running your mouth down the pub about being unhappy, you're attention seeking. That's what you're doing. So a lot of people are labeling themselves, and I absolutely refuse to take my own power away. There are so many things in the world trying to kill us. Like, you got enemies, you got people on the streets with blades, you got bacterias, fucking lions. Oh, I've got enough enemies, bro. Sharks want me dead. I've got enough enemies. Why am I going to take my own power away? And this is what people really don't yet understand. There's only one thing on the planet you actually have control over. You can't control the weather. You can't control your health. You can get a brain aneurysm or a heart attack. You can't control other people. The only thing you can actually really truly control is what you think. That's the only thing you can change in real time. You can be thinking of red and change it to blue. So why are you not controlling your own mind? It's your asset. It's your ally. It's your friend. Why would you make an enemy out of the only thing you have control over? I refuse to do that. It doesn't make sense to me. The worst thing on earth that could happen to a man could happen to me. And I guarantee you, I would still label myself happy. I'm happy because that's who I am. That's how I view myself. That's what I've decided. You have to decide what you want in life. I wanted to conquer the world. And if you're going to conquer the world in the modern society we live in, that's going to be a fiscal conquer. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make a bunch of money. How else are you going to conquer the world? That's what I wanted. You have to decide what you want. And it's different folks for different strokes, and it takes a lot of different kind of people to make the world go round. But if you truly want to conquer the world, you're going to end up wanting a bunch of money because that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So you have to decide the life you want to live. You're a different man when you have no safety net. You're a different man when you have to pull it off. No, I need to. No, I literally have to pull this off. I have to roll the dice. Most men don't understand what it feels like to roll the dice and you have to get a 6. They go, what do you mean you have to? No, I have to get a 6.
Yeah.
Oh, but what if you don't? No, I have to get a 6. You're not understanding me. So that's extremely character building. And for that reason, I'm going to make sure that my children, another thing that comes with it, I took a bunch of risks that I would never be comfortable with my children taking. Because this is the problem. You go soft, right?
Yes.
I was riding around on a motorcycle with no insurance, running from the cops.
Yeah.
I could have been splattered on the road. And I would never want my son to do that. But at the same time, I want him to be like me. Yeah. So it's difficult. As for my teenage son, I'm gonna try very hard to. He's gonna have problems he needs to solve. And I think if you're a young man, even if you're not my child, if you're just any man who's out there in the world today, you need to look at some problems that need solving, either for yourself or for society, and find a way to fix it. And I think that you should just adopt some problems and try and fix it. Doesn't matter what it is. You can just try and fix the litter in your area, or you can try and get a 6-pack, or whatever you want. Men are builders. The modern world, call me misogynistic, the modern world was built by men. Every building you're in was built by men. Every road you drive on was built by men. We're builders. We build things. And that's what you should be focused on. And like I said before, if you're hardworking and you build, and I think you'll do well. That's what you do well. You can't hide away from the brutal realities of work. That's it. And while we're on the subject, that's actually where these last 2 years have been pure clown world, because I've known some people who've made a bunch of money in crypto. And I've said to them, what you've just gone through, what you've just done is once in a generation that's completely ruined you. Because normally, if you make, let's say, 200 grand, you have learned lessons to make that 200 grand. Yeah. You've learned marketing, you've learned sales, you've learned how to manage staff, you learn how to deal with pressure, you learn how to be on time, you've learned a bunch of things.
So you can continue it.
So you can continue. And even if you lose all the money, you retain the lessons.
100%.
What have you learned? You bought a coin, it went up. Okay, good. You have not learned a single fucking thing about how money is made, about personal development. You didn't even learn how to have a firm handshake and put on a tie. You learned nothing. You pulled it off. You made a few dollars. You've lost them now. And now the worst thing about it is you think you're too good for work. You think you're so smart now.
Yeah.
Oh, I made it. This is the next one. You got lucky. Now you think you're too good to actually get up and grind. You think you're just going to pull it off again, another lottery win. And you don't think you have to work very hard. And guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to be fucking broke. Because that's not the reality of the world. That clown world shit is over. All that shit is over. We're about to get into harder times than ever. If you're sitting at home and you made a bit of money with crypto and you think, don't worry, it's going to go up again soon, you're just praying for some external force. That's not self-accountability. Sitting and watching the Bitcoin price, waiting for it to go up so you have money is not self-accountability. That's prayer. Then you might as well just do the lottery numbers. All these people who made money in this clown world, a lot of them haven't learned any lessons about the reality of Earth. And it's about to get a lot harder. I can never be poor. My skill set, the people I know, my phone book, my reliability, my reputation. You could take all of my money today. I'll be a millionaire again in 2 weeks. I can call people and say, lend me 10 mil. Oh, that's Tate. I can call people. I know people. I have a place I can go. I'm good at speaking. Like once you have those lessons and once you have that network and once you have those things built, you can't go broke. You really can't. You get to a point of life where the only way you could go broke is if you become a drug addict or something ridiculous. Don't complain when the NHS are on strike and you can't get seen and I'm in a private hospital in fucking Saudi. That's your problem. You have to just make your decisions in life and live true to them. But creating a circle is ultra important. And it's not just important financially, it's also important for your entire life and your mindset as a whole. Because it's amazing, especially amongst men, we never want to be the poorest person in the room. We never want to be the weakest person in the room. You never want to be, so if you're with a group of killers, you have now this massive expectation. It's almost like societal pressure and a positive force. If I go to my friends, I can't be the weakling. If everyone does X amount of push-ups, I have to do it.
You might get dropped out.
Yes, well, you don't want to.
That's not happening.
You don't want to feel that way,
No.
right? My team, it's not just about how we make money. It's also an entire mindset. I don't want to be the only scared one in the group. If me and my 6 closest friends are walking down the street and a couple guys came up to us with machetes, I know they wouldn't be afraid. So now I'm not afraid. Now no one's afraid. Now you're fucked.
Now the guys with the machete should be afraid.
That's right. It's like an army. It's like a gang, right? You have to have that mentality. So it's not just even about money. It's about your entire life you create. If you're a person, if you're a man and you're out here and you go, you know what? Who do I want to be? I want to be strong and rich and brave and respected. Then I need friends who are strong and rich and brave and respected. That's what you need to do. If you're going to say, oh, I want to be these things, but I hang around with this guy because we play FIFA together, then you can stay a fucking loser. And that is your decision. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for losers. I want to make this another thing clear that ends up on TikTok and everyone cries their eyes out. I don't give a solitary fuck if you want to stay at the bottom of the societal totem pole. If I'm going to ignore how I feel day after day so I can perform, regardless of whether I'm sad, happy, pissed off, tired, if I'm going to get up and work anyway when I'm tired, how do you expect me to feel sorry for you because you didn't work when you were tired? If I don't care about my own emotions, I certainly don't give a solitary shit about yours. If you want to stay a loser, stay one. Good, it's fine. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for you. I don't care. I was instilled with a duty for a very long time to honor my ancestors through achievement. And I was told from a very young age that the only thing your ancestors are interested in is achievement. Even to this day, when I do podcasts, people repeatedly talk about my father. If I wasn't successful, he wouldn't be spoken about anymore. He died 9 years ago, and he was a good chess player, but no one's really that interested in chess. The reason he lives on is because I'm so monumentally successful that people are interested in my origin story. He is mentioned. The reason I will live forever is because my son will be so monumentally successful that they'll talk about how he could have been such a perfect specimen of man, how he was raised, and they will mention me. If you give a shit about your ancestry, and if you give a fuck about your family, and you're not a selfish person, and you want them to exist out in the ether for reality, for the eternity of reality, it is your duty to be successful. So if you love your family, and you love your last name, and you're proud of yourself, then you have a duty to be massively, monumentally successful, to show homage to your ancestors. I find it amazing there are people out here today who are going to sit and say, oh, I'm sad, I'm too depressed, I don't want to work hard. Do you understand that only 200 years ago, there were peasants out working a field, starving, surviving the Black Death, surviving the plague, struggling to exist just to reproduce so that 200 years later, you can be the end of their bloodline, for you to sit on your ass and do fucking nothing. Like, you're a fuck up. You're fucking up your entire bloodline of your entire ancestry. You owe these people things. They went through hell for you to exist. You have a debt. You have a duty to pay. You have to be the best possible version of yourself. And the same to God. God loves people who try. God loves people who work hard. It's amazing if you try your very best all the time what God will give you. He'll give it to you, anything you want, if you actually try. Not convincing yourself you try, actually try. They're different things. But yeah, I was instilled with this because from a young age, my dad said, you're a Tate, and Tates are the greatest people on the face of the planet, and there's going to be a day I'm not here anymore, and they're going to talk about me because of how fantastic you are. So go do your fucking job. A lot of people don't have the ability to understand the compounding effect of doing the right thing time after time. Even if you start a new business and you don't know what to do. I guarantee if you're always on time, if you're a builder and you're always on time, take the basic shit. Just be on time.
Yeah.
Over time, you may think, oh, I was just on time, no one notices. Trust me, across 10 years, that's the difference between being a successful builder and not being a successful.